In Latin, nouns fill specific roles in the sentence based off of their grammar. In this sentence, servus dominum salutavit, the slave greeted his master, the noun servus is doing the action, and so it's in the nominative case. The noun dominum is receiving the action, and so it is in the accusative case. That's great, but while our sentence is full of people and actions, it's lacking in color and emotion. This video will give a pretty basic introduction to the adjective in Latin and how this part of speech is used. Okay, let's return back to our sentence. Servus dominum salutavit. Nouns in Latin have three main characteristics. Case, which is nominative, accusative, etc. Number, which is singular or plural. And gender, masculine, feminine, or neuter. Gender is an interesting subject because obviously a word describing a masculine person would be masculine itself, but every noun has a gender, whether it's obvious, like a male dog, or not, like a rock. I've got a video on gender that you can check out here if you want more information on this. So, case, number, and gender. There are two nouns in this sentence. Servus and dominum are no exception and can be defined by these characteristics. Servus is nominative, it's doing the action, singular and masculine. It's a male slave, but also the us ending identifies it as being masculine. Dominum is accusative, singular and masculine. So let's add some flavor to our sentence. Let's make the slave, sad. Maistos is an adjective that means sad. And it's an adjective, so it's going to describe a noun. Here, servus. Here's the rule for adjectives. They must agree with the noun they describe in case, number, and gender. And that's a good rule, so let's apply it. So servus is nominative, singular, and masculine, so I will make sure that maistos, is also nominative, singular, and masculine, and this happens to be maistos. And let's make our master happy. Laitos is the adjective that means happy. Since dominum is accusative, singular, and masculine, we need to use the accusative, singular, masculine form of laitos, which happens to be laitum. So here's a new sentence. Servus maistos dominum laitum salutavit. The sad slave greeted his happy master. So why this rule about case, number, and gender agreement? Think of it this way. In our sentence, the person doing the action is the sad slave, not just the slave, but the sad slave. Because of this, both the adjective and the noun should be in the nominative case, and because the noun-adjective unit, servus maistos, is the subject. And the person receiving the action is not just the master, but the happy master. So both happy and master are in the accusative case. Both describe the person receiving the action. One more example. Puella pulcra in magna villa sedebat. The beautiful girl was sitting in a large house. Think of our two units as the subject, puella pulcra. Both words are nominative, singular, feminine. And the words in the prepositional phrase, magna villa, where magna villa are both ablative, singular, and feminine. And in fact, because word order in Latin is a bit more fluid than in English, and given Latin's case system and word endings, it's possible and common to see a word order like this. Puella in magna villa pulcra sedebat. Because magna is clearly ablative, singular, feminine, with that long A ending, it must describe the house, villa, and pulcra, being nominative, singular, and feminine, must describe the girl, puella, even though it is closer to the noun villa. In Latin, there are two groups of adjectives, those that have endings in the first and second declension, and those that have endings in the third declension. First and second declension adjectives will be given to you in the famous us ending. So a word like laitos will be listed laitus, laita, laitum, or just abbreviated laitus The laitus is the masculine form, laita is the feminine, and laitum is the neuter. And you may recognize these endings are first and second declension endings. The first declension, laita, is used for all feminine nouns, while the second declension, laitus, is used for all masculine nouns, and the second declension neuter forms of laitum are used for all neuter nouns. If the happy master was praising his slave, we would say, Dominus laitus servum laudabat. If a happy girl was running in the fields, puella laita in agris currebat. And if our slave was greeting the happy girl, servus puellam laitam salutabat. For more on first and second declension adjectives, please click on the bottom right of the screen. A third declension adjective is one like fortis, fortis, forte, still listed in masculine, feminine, and neuter order, but unlike laetus, it takes third declension endings. So if I were greeting a brave soldier, ego militem fortem salutabam. Fortem is our accusative singular and masculine form of fortis. For more on third declension adjectives, please click on the bottom right of the screen. In all of the examples I've given you so far, the ending of the noun has been the same as the ending of the adjective. And you know this often happens in Latin because you have a first and second declension adjective describing a first or second declension noun, or a third declension adjective with a third declension noun. Their endings are the same because they have the same declension. But what if you have a brave girl? Keep in mind that the noun-adjective rule says that the adjective must agree with its noun in case, number, and gender, not necessarily ending. So let's take this sentence here and change our happy girl into a brave girl. Servus puellam fortem salutabat. Now, notice that the puellam and fortem have different endings. But both of these words are still accusative, singular, and feminine. So we're all set. In fact, we can change every adjective here to another adjective of a different declension. And you can see that even though the endings don't match, the grammar, the case, number, and gender, still matches. Dominus fortis servum laudabat. Puella fortis in agris currebat. And ego militem laetum salutabam. One more note. You can often tell the gender of a noun based on the form of the adjective. There are some first declension words that, even though they end in an A, are masculine, like poeta, poet, and agricola, farmer. These words are the male occupation exceptions to the first declension nouns are usually feminine rule. So since they are masculine, the adjective used must be masculine. So a simple sentence like the happy poet was greeting the sad farmer, the adjectives will look a little different from their nouns. Poeta laetus, agricola maestum salutabat. But that's okay, because the adjective is just reflecting the gender of the noun, not agreeing completely in its ending. You may wonder about word placement too, and whether the Latin adjective comes before or after its noun. Usually word order in Latin is fluid, but often you'll find a standard adjective after its noun, like poeta laetus, while adjectives of size or quantity will come before the noun, in magna vila. However, in literary Latin, authors don't always follow this suggestion, and you'll want to pay attention mostly to case, number, and gender when identifying which adjective describes which noun. So that's a very basic introduction to the adjective in Latin. It all hinges on 3 words that must not be forgotten: case, number, gender.